Hello and welcome. Today's review is on the Einhell TC-SS405E scroll saw, and it is sitting on a stand that I built. I do have a video on how to build that stand, so I'll put it in at the end of the video. So this is has an 120 watt motor. Maximum cut capacity is about 5 centimeters. It's 400 to 1600 RPM. You just change the RPM with this knob, and the table does tip to 45 degrees like this. And it does have a blower, and this blower actually works quite well. There's no sawdust when you're cutting, so it blows all the sawdust away whilst you're cutting. Down here, if you don't want all the sawdust sitting around, you have to plug a vacuum into it, otherwise all the sawdust just falls in here and you'll have to take this guard off and clean it out every so often. So I find that this scroll saw has quite a bit of power. Mind you, most of the time I'm only cutting stuff like 10mm plywood or craft wood, so like I never cut stuff like that on it. But as you saw at the beginning of the video, it can cut stuff like this on it. Then you have your depth adjuster here. You just adjust it like that. You do have to make sure that the blade is centered in between the two feet here, because otherwise it will screw itself too close to the blade. It's also very important to make sure that your depth adjuster is the right depth for the material you're cutting, or else your material will go like that. It is a quick release. You just pull that and you can pull your blade out, although I do have it tightened from side to side, so I just have to loosen this nut when you want to change the blade. It came with two blades from the factory, and this is the first blade I've ever put in. It's probably getting a little dull, but I hasn't bothered changing them yet. So it did come with a blade guard up here. This is it. Just screws on to the top of the depth adjuster here. And you should use it with it on, but I took it off because, first of all, it fogs up and gets covered in dust, so you can't see through it. And also, it rattles so much and is so annoying that it's very hard to work with this with the guard on. So that's why the guard is not on the saw, because it is quite a well, let's just say useless guard. I'm sure it has some use for people who aren't too comfortable working around sharp blades, but for me, I just always keep my blade off to the my finger off to the side, and I don't need to worry about putting it in the blade. So down here is the on-off button, and then your speed adjuster. You can go from 400 to 1600 RPM. Here is the motor. Then I just put the two wrenches in the table here. And it has quite a long reach here. I'll just measure that quickly. So from the blade to the back is about 42 centimeters. So you can get 40 centimeter pieces of wood behind the blade. which is probably enough. So I will demonstrate the speed adjuster now. I'll just use this 10mm plywood. So this is maximum speed. I always use it on maximum speed. This is about halfway. Then I'll just put it down to the lowest setting. So it goes quite slow on the lowest setting, but it does work. It is quiet, like it's not extremely loud, and overall I think it's a nice tool. I know that it's not an industrial grade or professional grade scroll saw or anything, but for the amount I use a scroll saw, it is fine. So I've taken this guard off. It just comes off with 2 screws, one at the front and back. And you can see the dust likes to pile up in here. So this is the mechanism. See, there's a counterweight so that as it spins on the downstroke, that weight turns around and helps pull the blade through the wood. So I'll just turn it on so you can see how it works. And your motor is behind there. So that's what it looks like inside. When it comes to blades, I would suggest always buying proper scroll saw blades. Now see on the top here how there's this little pin? That hooks in there and secures it. Now I didn't realize this at first, and I purchased cheap coping saw blades that see they don't have a pin. So you can use these, but they are going to be a lot trickier to get in because you have to hold on here. You have to loosen and tighten this screw every time you want to take it out, and it's kind of fiddly to get it in. But it will work. And of course I bought 120 of those, so it'll be a while before I get to use these again. But it will work, but it's better to have the ones with the pins on them. So this is a fresh blade, so I'm just gonna show how fast it will cut with a fresh blade for those of you who are interested. Top speed, of course. and I wasn't pushing it at all as hard as I was at the beginning of the video. So that's pretty much it. It's a nice tool, but it's not an industrial grade. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.